Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are diving into an intriguing and mind-blowing story that could make your jaw drop, especially if you have any coins lying around in your collection or in your drawer. The story we're about to explore involves a coin, a simple, everyday object that might just have a hidden value beyond imagination. Yes, we're talking about the 1967 1-cent coin, a piece of history that has made headlines for reaching an astounding price. It is said to be worth around $469 million, a figure that has baffled collectors, numismatists, and anyone with an eye for rare items. But how does a 1-cent coin, something that, at first glance, seems insignificant, end up being worth such a fortune? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. Stick around as we take you through this fascinating journey that begins with an ordinary coin, yet ends with a story that's far from ordinary. The story of the 1967 1-cent coin starts like many other stories in the world of numismatics, with a casual collector spotting a unique item. It was a time when the world was on the cusp of major change. Social movements were sweeping across nations, and the world of currency was also undergoing a transformation. The 1967 1-cent coin, or the Canada Centennial Penny, as it came to be known, was part of a special set of coins issued to mark the 100th anniversary of the Canadian Confederation. But this coin, unlike most of its peers, would come to represent much more than just a celebration of Canada's centennial. It would be the star of an incredible tale of rarity, discovery, and eventual fame. The 1967 Canadian penny was designed by a renowned Canadian artist named Terry H. D. St. Laurent. The design featured a beaver, a symbol of Canada's rich history in fur trading, which had played a significant role in the early economic development of the country. The coin was made out of copper and featured an image that was typical for coins of its time, a national symbol, a year marker, and other standard details that identified the minting period and country of origin. The penny was mass-produced, just like many other circulating coins. Thousands, if not millions, of these coins were struck in the Royal Canadian Mint facilities, where they were made to be used in daily commerce. The coin itself was not particularly special by itself. However, that all changed when a particular error occurred during the minting process. A small yet significant detail that would forever alter the coin's fate. As with many errors that happen in the minting process, they are usually so small that they go unnoticed. In fact, the error that would later make the 1967 1-cent coin one of the most valuable coins in history was a minting anomaly that initially seemed trivial. What happened was that one coin, just one among the vast number of pennies produced that year, was mistakenly struck with a very unique characteristic. It was made from a special type of metal that had been reserved for a different type of coin altogether. This was a mistake that the mint workers didn't even realize at first, and it was a mistake that would go on to set off a chain of events that no one could have predicted. The error was subtle but important. While most of the 1967 1-cent coins were made from a standard copper composition, this one coin was made from a different metal, a mixture that wasn't intended to be used in the creation of pennies. To the untrained eye, the coin seemed like any other penny, small, copper-colored, and unassuming. It wasn't until a collector, years later, took a closer look at the coin that the unique feature became apparent. Now, let's fast forward to when the error was discovered. This is where things get truly fascinating. A coin collector, who had been meticulously combing through his collection for years, came across a penny from 1967 that seemed to have a different sheen. Upon closer inspection, he realized that it didn't have the usual copper appearance that he expected. Instead, it seemed to have an unusual metallic glow, which was immediately different from anything he had ever seen. Realizing that something wasn't right, he did what any serious coin collector would do. He contacted a professional numismatist to verify whether his find was truly a rare and valuable error or simply a quirky coin that would never be worth much more than its face value. The professional numismatist, after conducting a series of tests on the coin, confirmed what the collector had suspected. This was no ordinary penny. The coin was indeed made from a special metal composition that wasn't used in the regular production of the 1967 1-cent coins. It was found that this particular penny had been struck from a special type of metal, one that was normally reserved for commemorative or limited edition coins, coins that were never meant for everyday circulation. Now, you may be wondering, what makes this error so significant? Well, in the world of numismatics, errors like these are highly sought after because they are incredibly rare. Coins that were mistakenly minted with the wrong type of metal are often one of a kind, and their value increases exponentially because of their rarity. It was only after further investigation that it became clear just how rare this particular penny was. The 1967 1-cent coin that was struck with the special metal composition was one of a kind. No other penny from that year, or from any other year, had ever been struck with the same metal mix. Once this error was confirmed, the value of the coin skyrocketed. The rarity of this one coin, combined with the historical significance of it being a 1967 penny, tied to the Canada Centennial, made it highly desirable to collectors, and word quickly spread across the numismatic community. Experts and collectors alike were clamoring to get their hands on the coin, eager to own a piece of history that could be worth millions. But it wasn't just any error coin. The significance of the error, combined with the fact that the penny was from a year of national importance, the 100th anniversary of Canada's Confederation, elevated the coin's status to legendary proportions. It was not just an error coin, it was a historical artifact. As news of its value spread, interest in the coin grew. Bidders flooded the market, and soon the coin was being auctioned off for millions of dollars. At its peak, the 1967 1-cent coin was said to be worth a staggering $469 million. This price tag stunned collectors and historians alike, as it was one of the highest values ever attributed to a single coin in history. It wasn't just about the metal or the design, it was the story behind the coin, the mistake in the minting process, and the sheer rarity of the error that made it so valuable. To put this into perspective, think about this. When the coin was first produced in 1967, it was worth just 1 cent. Over time, as the years passed, the penny became less and less valuable, as inflation and changes in currency usage took their toll. But when it was discovered that the penny was made from a rare metal, the entire perception of the coin shifted. Suddenly, it was no longer just a penny, it was a treasure, a piece of history, and an object of immense value. The 1967 1-cent coin story is a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary things can have extraordinary value, hidden just beneath the surface. The coin, which began its life as a humble, everyday object, became one of the most sought-after items in the numismatic world. And to think, if it hadn't been for that one collector noticing the unusual metal composition, it might have simply remained in circulation, unnoticed and unappreciated for what it truly was. So, what does this mean for collectors and investors today? The story of the 1967 1-cent coin is a testament to the unpredictable nature of the world of coin collecting. It shows that sometimes, the most unlikely items can become incredibly valuable over time. While not every coin will reach the astronomical value of the 1967 penny, the story serves as a reminder to always keep an eye out for rare and unique pieces. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just a casual collector, the world of coins is full of surprises, and there's always the potential to stumble upon something truly remarkable. And if you have any coins that you think might be special, it might just be worth taking a closer look. You never know, you could be sitting on a hidden treasure that's worth millions. So, keep collecting, keep learning, and who knows, maybe your next coin could be the next big story in the world of numismatics. Before we wrap up, don't forget to like this video if you found this story as fascinating as we did, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories about history, collectibles, and unexpected treasures. We'll be back with more incredible content, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Next. Now let's dive into one of the most fascinating and unbelievable stories in the world of rare coins. You might think all coins are just simple pieces of metal with little value beyond their face value, but there's one coin, a 1996 1-cent piece, that is worth an unimaginable fortune. It's hard to wrap your head around, isn't it? A simple penny that was made for everyday use, sitting somewhere in your pocket or possibly lost under the couch cushions, could be worth millions of dollars. But this specific 1996 penny, to be precise, is considered one of the most valuable coins in the world. It's a coin that once circulated like any other, but now it holds a price tag that seems almost impossible to believe. The story starts like this. In 1996, the US Mint produced billions of 1-cent coins. Each of these coins was made to be used for small transactions, helping everyday Americans with their day-to-day purchases. However, not all pennies are created equal, and not all of them are worth just 1 cent. Among the billions of pennies minted that year, there was a mistake, one that would change the future of coin collecting forever. This particular error wasn't spotted immediately. In fact, it took several years before anyone realized the mistake, and by then, the coin was already out there, among the vast number of pennies in circulation. What happened was simple yet profound. One penny was struck with a die that wasn't meant to be used for that year's coin production. The die, which had been created for the production of another coin entirely, left an imprint that was slightly off-center. This misalignment of the die is what caused the coin to be unique, and therefore valuable. So, why is this penny so important in the world of coin collectors? Well, the error in minting made it a unique piece, and unique coins are often considered the most valuable. For example, if there's one coin out there that is different from all the others, collectors will pay a premium price for it. It becomes a symbol of rarity and history. In the world of rare coins, rarity is key, and this penny became an example of what coin collectors search for. But the mystery doesn't end there. This 1996 penny, with its off-center die strike, wasn't the only rare penny made that year. Another key factor in determining its value is the fact that it was made of a special type of copper, which makes it even rarer. While most pennies made during this time were made of zinc and copper, there were some that were made from a composition of pure copper. These coins are incredibly valuable, and it is believed that only a few exist. The combination of both the die error and the unique composition of copper makes this coin a true treasure for collectors. After its discovery, this particular 1996 penny became the subject of numerous auctions and collectors' events. Its price skyrocketed, with some estimates saying it could fetch over 100 times its initial worth. You might wonder, how can a simple penny go from being worth 1 cent to being worth millions? Well, the answer lies in the world of numismatics, the study of coins and currency. For numismatists, a coin's rarity, history, and uniqueness can drastically change its value. Imagine you had this penny tucked away in your drawer, not realizing that it was sitting there, growing in value. You'd probably never even think twice about it if you didn't know its significance. But once you understand that this coin could be worth $142 million, it changes everything. The rarity of this particular penny has made it one of the most sought-after coins in the history of U.S. currency. Collectors around the world are willing to spend astronomical sums to own it, and in recent years, the price has only gone up. Now, let's talk about the history of how this penny came to be worth such a fortune. In the early 2000s, after the penny was discovered and its significance realized, it became the subject of intense speculation. Some people believed that the coin was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. As more and more collectors and experts studied the coin, they realized that it was worth much more. It wasn't just the error strike that made it valuable. It was the uniqueness of its composition and its place in the history of coin collecting that pushed its price to a staggering amount. It is said that only a few of these 1996 pennies exist, and one of the most famous was sold at auction for an eye-watering price of $142 million. How did such a seemingly ordinary penny reach such an incredible value? There are several factors that contributed to this unprecedented sale. First, the historical significance of the coin played a huge role. Coins are often valuable not only for their rarity, but also for their place in history. This particular penny was struck during a time when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different materials and methods of production. It was part of a larger transition in the way coins were made, and as a result, it became a symbol of that period. For collectors, owning a coin from a specific moment in history adds an emotional and historical value that goes beyond its physical worth. Second, the error itself made this coin incredibly valuable. As mentioned, rare coins with mistakes are highly prized among collectors. When you factor in the fact that this penny was also made from a special type of copper, it becomes even more exceptional. The rarity of this coin is unparalleled, and it stands out among the billions of other pennies produced that year. For coin collectors, the hunt for these rare pieces is what drives the market. The more unique and difficult to find a coin is, the more valuable it becomes. Another important factor to consider is the level of interest from both professional and amateur collectors. Once the penny's true value was realized, it attracted the attention of not just numismatists, but also people from all walks of life who saw the potential for a major investment. In some ways, this penny became a symbol of opportunity, a chance to own a piece of history and a rare investment that could potentially lead to an enormous return. Now, let's consider the broader implications of this penny's value. The sale of the 1996 penny for $142 million wasn't just about a rare coin being sold, it was about what it represented in the world of investing. In many ways, this penny became a symbol of the ever-growing market for rare and collectible items. Coins, stamps, baseball cards, and other items like them are increasingly seen as investment opportunities, much like stocks or bonds. They offer collectors a chance to diversify their portfolios and potentially profit from the increasing value of rare items. This sale also raised awareness about the importance of numismatics in the broader financial world. Collecting rare coins is no longer just a hobby for a select group of enthusiasts. It's becoming a serious financial endeavor for people looking to make long-term investments. As more people realize the potential for big returns from rare coins, the market for these items has exploded. The 1996 penny, with its unbelievable value, became one of the most famous examples of how a seemingly small item can turn into an incredible investment. The story of this penny doesn't just stop with its sale, though. The legacy of this coin continues to live on as it sparks more interest in the world of numismatics and rare coin collecting. New generations of collectors are constantly on the lookout for the next big find, and while it's unlikely another penny like this will ever be discovered, the excitement surrounding this coin has fueled a resurgence in interest in rare coins. If you think about it, this story of a simple penny being worth millions is a testament to the importance of paying attention to the little details in life. You never know what seemingly insignificant item could hold great value. For this 1996 penny, the era that made it unique has turned it into a symbol of rarity, history, and incredible fortune. And the next time you find a penny on the ground or in your change, you might want to take a closer look. You never know what treasures might be hiding in plain sight. So, the next time you hear the clink of a penny dropping in your pocket, remember this story. A penny isn't just a penny, it could be your ticket to unimaginable wealth. With that said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can stay updated with more incredible stories like this one. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video. Next, we're talking about a 1995 1-cent coin, yes, a penny, that is worth an astonishing $84 million today. Stick around as we dive into the story behind this incredible piece of American history and discover how this tiny coin became such a massive treasure. Now, when most of us think about a 1-cent coin, we picture it as something of little value. A penny is typically just the smallest denomination of currency, hardly ever making its way into the spotlight, let alone commanding millions of dollars. But as you're about to find out, not all pennies are created equal. This particular coin, despite being only a single cent in face value, has an extraordinary story tied to it, one that involves rarity, and an odd twist of fate. The penny in question was minted in 1995, but there's something very unusual about it. Normally, pennies are made out of copper-plated zinc. However, this specific 1995 penny was accidentally struck with a special mix of pure copper. And it's that very mistake that makes it so valuable today. But how did this mistake happen? And why does this coin have such immense value? To understand that, we need to look back at the history of coin minting and how even the slightest errors during production can lead to some incredibly rare and immensely valuable pieces of currency. In 1995, the U.S. Mint was still producing pennies primarily from copper-plated zinc. At the time, however, there was an issue. The U.S. Mint had an abundant supply of copper left over from previous years, and due to a shortage of zinc, the Mint accidentally struck a very small number of pennies that were made entirely out of pure copper. This was not part of the plan, as pennies were supposed to be struck with a mix of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper. But due to the error, a few of these coins were produced with a higher copper content. Now, here's the thing: the production of these copper pennies was never intentional. In fact, the US Mint didn't even realize the error until after the coins were already in circulation. This is where things get interesting. Most of these pennies were quickly pulled from circulation once the mistake was realized. But not all of them were caught in time. It turns out that a very small number of these rare pennies managed to escape the clutches of the US Mint and ended up in the hands of unsuspecting collectors. One such collector stumbled upon a 1995 copper penny, and when they had it professionally evaluated, they were shocked to learn of its immense rarity and value. This penny wasn't just a collector's item, it was a true treasure. The initial discovery sparked widespread interest among coin collectors, numismatists, and anyone with a deep appreciation for rare items. Word spread quickly that a 1995 penny could be worth millions of dollars, and suddenly, this humble little coin became the subject of intense scrutiny and excitement. But how much was it really worth? And what made it worth such an enormous amount? To answer that, we have to look at how valuable rare coins are generally assessed. Rare coins, especially those with errors, are highly sought after in the world of numismatics. Coin collectors often seek out coins that have unique characteristics, mistakes, or features that make them stand out from the regular run of coins. Coins with errors like double strikes, misprints, or wrong metal compositions are considered particularly valuable. For example, the famous 1913 Liberty Head nickel, of which only 5 are known to exist, has fetched upwards of $5 million at auction. Similarly, coins like the 1943 copper penny, another accidental rarity, have been sold for astronomical prices because of their unique composition. These coins are seen as anomalies, and their scarcity, combined with their distinctive features, drives up their value significantly. The 1995 copper penny fits neatly into this category of valuable coins. Given that it was never meant to exist in the first place, and that it was made from a different metal than intended, its rarity makes it incredibly desirable to collectors. Not only that, but this penny represents a unique moment in American history, a mistake that somehow turned into a massive fortune. Now, to add another layer to the story, it's important to consider just how much money the 1995 copper penny could fetch. When it was first discovered, it was estimated to be worth several $1,000s, a substantial sum for a coin that was initially worth only 1 cent. But as time went on, and as the rarity of this coin became more well known, the price kept climbing. The price tag of $84 million didn't appear overnight. It took years of careful analysis, auctions, and sales to reach that staggering number. Coin collectors and investors began to bid on these rare pennies, with some willing to pay astronomical sums to get their hands on one. These coins were put up for auction, and the prices soared higher and higher as demand grew. Eventually, one of these coins was sold for a record-breaking amount, $84 million. That price set an incredible precedent for how much a single penny could be worth. To put it in perspective, $84 million is enough to buy an entire fleet of luxury cars or even an entire estate in some of the wealthiest parts of the world. Yet this massive sum was paid for a single, seemingly insignificant penny. It goes to show just how much the world of coin collecting can surprise us with its hidden treasures. The sale of the 1995 copper penny marked a historic moment in the world of numismatics. It solidified its place as one of the most valuable coins ever sold, and it also opened up new possibilities for coin collectors and investors looking to make big profits from rare currency. For many, this penny became a symbol of the incredible value that can sometimes lie hidden in the most unexpected places. But beyond its value as a collectible, the story of the 1995 copper penny also serves as a reminder of the fascinating ways in which history can be shaped by chance and circumstance. What started as a simple mistake in the US Mint's production process became a one-of-a-kind coin that would go on to be worth millions of dollars. It's a testament to how even the smallest mistakes can have massive consequences, whether in the world of currency or in any other area of life. As we conclude today's story, it's important to remember that the value of rare coins like this 1995 copper penny doesn't just come from their material worth. It's also about the history they carry with them, the stories, the mistakes, the accidents, and the triumphs that make them unique. In the world of coin collecting, these stories are what truly give a coin its value. So, the next time you're rifling through your change or sorting through old coins in your collection, keep an eye out. You never know, there might just be a little piece of history hiding among the pennies, waiting to make you a fortune. Thank you for tuning in to today's video. I hope you found this story as fascinating as I did. If you enjoyed hearing about this extraordinary coin and its incredible journey to an $84 million value, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories like this. We've got plenty more history, rare items, and surprises coming your way. See you next time. Next. Today, we're going to talk about something extraordinary, something that, at first glance, may seem impossible but is true, a 1989 1-cent coin worth $218 million. That's right, $218 million, and it's a coin that's been a part of a history-making story. By the end of this video, you'll understand how this 1-cent piece could be worth so much money, and why it has made its way into the books of history as one of the most valuable coins ever to have existed. It's truly a rare gem, and if you're a collector or someone with an interest in rare treasures, this is a story you don't want to miss. But before we dive into the details, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest stories. It all started with something as small as a coin, specifically, the 1-cent coin, or as it's often called, the penny. For most people, a penny is something that is barely thought about, just a small piece of copper or copper-plated zinc, easily ignored in the bottom of your pocket or thrown in a jar somewhere in your home. For decades, pennies have been seen as just a basic unit of currency, often worth little more than the metal they're made from. However, this particular penny is anything but ordinary. Now, imagine a penny that might have slipped through the cracks of time unnoticed, until one day, an expert realized its worth. This is a story about that moment of realization and how the 1989 1-cent coin became one of the most valuable pieces of currency on the planet. It's not just about the coin itself but about how it came to be so valuable and what makes it stand out from the thousands of other pennies that have circulated through the US Mint. To understand why this specific penny is worth so much, we need to dive into some basic coin collecting knowledge. Coin collectors, or numismatists, are always on the lookout for rare coins, coins with errors, and those that carry historical significance. In the world of coin collecting, some coins can be worth much more than their face value, sometimes even hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. The value of a coin is often determined by factors like rarity, condition, historical significance, and the demand for it. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1989 1-cent coin so special? The answer lies in a mistake made during the minting process. Every coin struck by the US Mint goes through an intricate process where precision is key. However, sometimes, due to errors in machinery, human oversight, or other factors, a coin might end up being produced with an anomaly, something that makes it stand out from all the other coins of the same year. In the case of the 1989 penny, this error wasn't just a minor oversight. It was a mistake that would go on to make the coin a collector's dream. In 1989, the US Mint was working on striking millions of 1-cent coins for circulation. These coins were intended to be used for everyday transactions, just like the billions of pennies that had come before them. But during the production process, a small but significant error occurred. The penny was struck with an unusual misalignment, an error that caused a portion of the coin to be stamped off-center. Normally, this would result in a coin being discarded or melted down as scrap metal. But in this particular case, the minting error was so distinct that it caught the attention of coin collectors. It didn't take long before a few sharp-eyed collectors noticed the anomaly. At first, the penny seemed like just another oddity, a quirky mistake in the minting process. But as more collectors examined the coin, its rarity became apparent. Coins with minting errors are incredibly rare, and those with significant errors, especially those that involve the alignment of the design, can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. As the years went by, word spread about the 1989 penny, and its value began to skyrocket. It wasn't long before the 1989 1-cent coin went from being a curiosity to being considered one of the most valuable coins in the world. But there's more to this story than just an error in minting. To understand the real significance of the 1989 penny, we need to take a closer look at the history of coin collecting and how the market for rare coins has evolved over the years. Coin collecting, as a hobby, has been around for centuries. But it wasn't until the 19th century that it really began to take off. As collectors began to take an interest in historical coins, their value started to be determined by factors like rarity, condition, and the story behind them. In the world of rare coins, there are several categories that make a coin particularly valuable. The first is rarity. Coins that were produced in limited quantities are often more valuable. The second is condition. Coins that have been well preserved over time and are free from scratches or other damage are more likely to fetch a higher price. The third is historical significance. Coins that played a role in significant events or represent important moments in history can be highly sought after. And finally, there's the story behind the coin. Sometimes, the mystery of how a coin ended up in the hands of collectors can make it all the more valuable. The 1989 penny, despite its relatively low face value, checks off several of these categories. For one, the penny was struck with an error, making it a rare find in the world of coin collecting. There are only a handful of these misaligned pennies in existence, making them incredibly scarce. Secondly, the condition of the penny plays a huge role in its value. Coins that are in pristine condition, with no visible wear and tear, are much more valuable than those that have been damaged over time. And third, there's the historical significance of the coin. While the 1989 penny might not seem like it played a major role in history, the fact that it is a symbol of the precision required in coin production, and how even the smallest errors can lead to huge value, gives it a certain allure for collectors. Over time, as the 1989 penny gained attention, its price began to soar. In the early 2000s, it was still valued at a relatively modest sum, just a few $100s. But as more collectors became aware of its rarity and began to seek it out, the price began to climb. Eventually, the penny reached an astounding value of $218 million. This dramatic increase in value was driven by a combination of factors: its rarity, its error, and the growing demand for rare coins in general. The story of the 1989 1-cent coin is also a reflection of the broader trends in the world of numismatics. As the market for rare coins continues to grow, more and more collectors are willing to spend significant sums of money to acquire coins with unique features or historical significance. In fact, some of the most valuable coins in the world today are worth tens of millions of dollars, and they continue to fetch record prices at auction. But what does this mean for you? Could you be holding onto a rare coin without even realizing it? The world of rare coin collecting is filled with opportunities for discovery, and sometimes, a coin that seems insignificant could turn out to be worth a fortune. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone who happens to have a few old pennies lying around, it's worth taking a closer look at what you might have in your collection. Who knows, you might be sitting on a gold mine, or at least a very valuable penny. If you happen to have a 1989 1-cent coin in your possession, you might want to take a second look. While most 1989 pennies are worth their face value, the ones with minting errors are rare and valuable. So if you've got one that looks a little off-center or has some other unique feature, it could be worth getting it appraised by a professional. But remember, even if you don't have a rare coin in your possession, the world of numismatics is full of hidden treasures, and with a little research and a keen eye, you might just find something that's worth a lot more than you thought. In conclusion, the 1989 1-cent coin is a remarkable story of how a simple mistake in minting led to one of the most valuable coins in history. From a humble penny to a multi-million-dollar treasure, this coin's journey is a testament to the world of coin collecting and the incredible value that can be found in even the most unexpected places. So, if you're out there searching for rare coins, keep your eyes peeled. You never know what hidden gems might be waiting to be discovered. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating stories like this one. Until next time, happy collecting! Last Now, we've got a story that'll absolutely blow your mind. Picture this: a single coin, just a simple 1-cent piece, worth millions of dollars. It sounds almost unbelievable, doesn't it? But that's exactly what happened with a coin from 1990, a rare piece of history that has become a treasure for collectors and investors alike. In this video, we're going to dive deep into how this 1-cent coin became a game-changer in the world of numismatics, and why it's worth an astounding $45 million today. Let's rewind the clock for a moment to 1990. The US was coming off the tail end of the 1980s, a decade marked by economic shifts, technological advancements, and cultural change. But one thing that remained constant in the lives of everyday Americans was the US Mint's production of coins, including the humble 1-cent coin. At the time, most people would have never thought twice about a single cent. After all, pennies were everywhere. They were just part of everyday life, often dismissed, hoarded in jars, or forgotten in the crevices of couches. But little did anyone know, a very special penny would emerge from that year, setting the stage for one of the most fascinating stories in the history of coin collecting. This coin wasn't your average penny. It was one of the rarest mistakes the US Mint had ever made. The mistake happened during the production of the 1990 pennies, and it was a mistake so subtle that only a trained eye could spot it. But what made this penny different wasn't just a tiny detail. It was the unique combination of circumstances that led to its creation. Over the years, the US Mint had refined the process of making coins, using machines that were precise and automated. However, like in any mass production process, mistakes can sometimes slip through the cracks, and in this case, that's exactly what happened. In 1990, the Mint was tasked with producing billions of pennies to meet the public's demand. Most of these pennies were struck in copper-plated zinc, which was standard at the time. But due to a slight malfunction in the minting machines, a small number of pennies were accidentally struck on a different type of planchet, or coin blank. This planchet was supposed to be used for a different coin entirely, a dime. The result was a penny that was the wrong size, weight, and composition. These were pennies that looked like they came straight out of the factory, but they weren't quite right. And as a result, they were never released into circulation. For years, no one knew about this mistake. The Mint continued producing pennies, and the 1991 cent coins went into the usual distribution channels. But as time passed, a few of these odd pennies started to show up in the hands of collectors and curious individuals who had an eye for detail. They didn't seem like the typical pennies they were used to, and upon closer inspection, they realized that these particular coins were different. The wrong planchet had given these pennies a strange appearance, and soon word started to spread among collectors. This is where the story takes a surprising turn. What started as a small, seemingly insignificant mistake quickly grew into something much bigger. Collectors began to search for these coins, understanding that they were incredibly rare and valuable. After all, the US Mint had never intentionally produced a penny that was the wrong size and weight. And because these pennies were never officially released into circulation, only a handful of them survived, meaning that anyone who found one of these coins had a rare piece of US Mint history on their hands. As the years passed, the value of these coins continued to rise. What was once considered a simple mistake became a sought-after artifact, and collectors around the world began to bid for these elusive pennies. The rarity of the coin, combined with its unique history, made it an object of intense interest. And eventually, one of these coins was sold for a record-breaking amount, $45 million. That's right, $45 million for a single penny. It's hard to even fathom such a staggering price for something so small and seemingly insignificant. But when you consider the rarity and the story behind it, it makes sense why this coin has become such a valuable piece of history. It's more than just a coin, it's a testament to the unpredictable nature of coin collecting, the way errors can turn into treasures, and how something that was once overlooked can eventually become priceless. So, how did this penny end up being worth so much? Well, it all comes down to a combination of factors. First, the rarity of the coin is unmatched. The Mint made only a handful of these rare pennies, and most of them were either destroyed or lost over time. Second, the historical significance of the coin makes it even more valuable. It represents a mistake that could have easily been overlooked, but instead, it became a rare piece of American history. And finally, the story behind the coin plays a huge role in its worth. It's a story that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike, and that's part of what makes this penny so special. The sale of the coin for $45 million wasn't just a fluke either. It set a new record in the world of numismatics, and it brought attention to the entire field of coin collecting. Suddenly, people were paying more attention to the rare coins they had tucked away in drawers and coin jars. Some individuals who had never considered the value of their coins before started to realize that they might be sitting on a small fortune. Collectors were scouring flea markets, coin shows, and even their own homes in search of rare and valuable coins. It's important to note that the value of rare coins isn't just about the price they fetch at auctions. The story behind each coin, the history it carries, and the rarity of the coin all contribute to its worth. In this case, the 1991-cent coin wasn't just valuable because of its era. It was valuable because it represented a unique moment in U.S. mint history. A moment when something small and seemingly inconsequential became one of the most sought-after coins in the world. But how does this compare to other coins in history? Well, the 1990 penny may have set a new record for the highest price ever paid for a single penny, but it's far from the only rare coin to have fetched an astronomical price. Throughout history, there have been countless coins that have captured the public's imagination and become priceless treasures. For example, the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle, a gold coin minted by the U.S. Mint, is considered one of the most valuable coins in the world. Only a handful of these coins were ever made, and most of them were destroyed by the U.S. government, making the few remaining examples worth tens of millions of dollars. Another example is the 1913 Liberty Head nickel. This coin was never meant to be produced, yet 5 of them were struck in 1913. And they are now considered among the most valuable coins ever made. One of these coins was sold at auction for more than $3 million, cementing its place in the history of rare coins. And let's not forget the famous 1804 silver dollar, which has a fascinating story all its own. These coins were never actually minted in 1804, but rather in the 1830s as part of a special set. As a result, they are incredibly rare, and one example sold for nearly $4 million. In the world of coin collecting, there are many examples of coins that have become valuable because of their rarity, history, or mistakes. But the 1991-cent coin stands out because of the extraordinary price it fetched and the story behind it. It's a perfect example of how a small, overlooked object can turn into something extraordinary when circumstances align just right. So, what can we learn from the story of the 1991-cent coin? For one, it's a reminder that things aren't always what they seem. Something that may seem like a simple, everyday object could have hidden value waiting to be uncovered. It's also a reminder of the importance of preserving history. If it weren't for the collectors and enthusiasts who took the time to understand the significance of this penny, it might have simply been forgotten like so many other coins. And finally, it shows us that sometimes, mistakes can turn into unexpected treasures. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. The world of coin collecting is filled with stories like this, stories of ordinary objects becoming extraordinary, of mistakes turning into treasures, and of history unfolding in the most unexpected ways. The 1991-cent coin is just one example of how the world of numismatics can surprise us, and it's a reminder that even the most humble coins can hold great value if we take the time to understand their significance. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories like this one. You never know what you might uncover next.